Well, another dry day throughout the state of South Carolina as we had absolutely no rainfall falling throughout the state of South Carolina today. And that trend seems to try and continue. Now, we'll talk about all of that. We're also going to talk about our strong warming trend as we go into this weekend, elevated fire weather concerns possible during periods of low humidity, and rain chances definitely will increase as we go into the middle to the end portions of next week. All of that we're going to talk about. If you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Also hit the subscribe button as we're at 733, trying to get to that main goal of 800. So let's see what's going on right now throughout the entire state. Well, right now, nice and dry. We're not looking at any sort of rainfall right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina. But if we scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., I will say rainfall and snowfall. Rainfall and snowfall. See rainfall up here in New York, Pennsylvania. You see some rainfall down here in Florida. And even over here inside of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Iowa. I mean, we have some severe weather right now. I know a lot of people are covering it right now live on YouTube right now, showing their severe weather coverage. Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri. And then also some rainfall, snowfall even as well in some of the higher elevations. Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana as well. Now, what about our cloud cover? Well, cloud cover right now seems to be trying to move its way throughout the state. We're starting to see that cloud cover from the west move over into the state from the upstate, Midlands, Low Country, Grand Strand, PD areas. Doesn't matter where it is, cloud cover is starting to move in. And that cloud cover for the future, well, it's going to definitely try and push in tonight. Watch as we get into around 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Cloud cover definitely staying with us. And then once you get all into 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock as well, we have some cloud cover trying to kind of decrease its way throughout the state, kind of moving its way towards the south and east a little bit more, and not really bringing us too much more. Once we get into around Monday morning here and going even into Monday afternoon, cloud cover is starting to go away. So cloud cover definitely not the biggest concern. Definitely not the biggest concern, but it is there. It is there. Now, in terms of our current temperatures right now, we're talking about 70s. Maybe even some 60s. 69 Georgetown, Murray's Inlet, 70 in Somerville, 71 Charleston, 73 Beaufort, 73 Hilton Island. We also do have around a good 75 in Orangeburg, 76 Columbia, and 68 in Conway, 70 in Myrtle Beach, and 72 in Union, 71 in Spartanburg, and 73 in Greenville, 70 Gaffney, York, 69 Rock Hill, 75 in Columbia, and 73 in Anderson. Now, in terms of our air quality is kind of in the middle right now. We're seeing some moderates, kind of 50-50 with the good as well. And so we have a yellow from Greenville, Spartanburg, Greenwood, Augusta, Columbia, Florence is included in there, and even Sumter may be a little bit included in there as well. So if you're going to be outside tonight for a long period of time, just make sure that you're aware of that and you're paying attention for it. But it's only a moderate, but we take every risk here seriously. Now, in terms of our low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about around 66 in Orangeburg, 67 in Columbia, 65 Barnwell, 66 in Georgetown, and 68 in Myrtle Beach, 72 Hilton Island, and 70 in Charleston, 64 Greenwood, and 63 in Greenville, 63 in Lawrence, and 62 in Spartanburg, Rock Hill, 64 inside of Anderson and Cheraw. Then for our high temperatures for tomorrow, for Sunday, it's going to be a lot hotter. Definitely will be. We're seeing 88 Greenville, 89 Spartanburg, Anderson, 90 Newberry, and then we're going to start seeing like 92 in Columbia, 90 in Aiken, 91 Orangeburg, Sumter, Florence, 89 Moncks Corner, 84 Charleston, Hilton Island, 81 Myrtle Beach. Now, what about for our rainfall? Rainfall, again, not really expected. You may see like a little shower over there in the western part of the upstate, the very, very far upstate. But that's the only area throughout the next 24 hours. Everyone else is going to remain dry. SPC outlook for tonight. No thunderstorms are expected. Tomorrow, they have a thunderstorm risk here, I guess because the ingredients are there. But honestly, I don't see the convection really popping off too much. So I think that this is kind of just here just to be like, well, the ingredients are there, and if something does happen, it could turn into a thunderstorm. But I don't really see it. And Monday's a bit further out, but Monday we also do have a little thunderstorm risk up there in the very far upstate. But Sunday is, covering almost the entire state, but I think it's really just because of the ingredients. that are in place. No excessive rainfall, no fire weather, anything like that. So let's go and look at the crazy score. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how active our conditions are throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And right now, we're actually supposed to be at an 8. Excuse me, that said a 7. But we're at an 8 for tonight. Why? Well, cloud cover is starting to move its way through. Not completely cloudy, but it is trying to move its way through. Clear, or I should say calm winds. Also, temperatures are going to be a bit more mild tonight. Not really looking at 50s and 60s. Now we're seeing 60s and 70s. And just overall, no major concerns, no significant weather. It's going to be a nice night tonight. So let's go on now and look at the models. Remember that times at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, because if you lose track of where we are, the good chance that you will get lost and you will be confused of what's going on and what I'm talking about. So please, please, please make sure that you are paying very close attention. Not only that, but also it could be a top fan question in here somewhere. You never know. You never know, because I can pull anything out here from this whole model. I mean, I could talk about what's on tap. It doesn't matter. So just make sure that you're aware of it. We're going to start off with the short term first. We're going to start off here at around 9 o'clock p.m. We go in and push this forward. And one thing I will say is that rainfall definitely does not seem too prominent tomorrow. You go into tomorrow evening, and there goes like that little shower activity that we saw in the very, very far upstate. You know, that little area of precipitation that we were watching for up there. That goes on all the way through to around 10 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, which is actually outside of the time frame. So, you know, what are they looking at? That's a great question. But the models here apparently aren't too keen and too supportive of their analysis that they have for this precipitation for the next 24 hours. But I will say, as we continue more into the future, even into Monday looks pretty dry as well. So, honestly, mostly dry. Again, I don't really think thunderstorms are going to be too much of an issue tomorrow. I just think that they have it there because the ingredients are there. Now, if we go on and look at our future, because obviously nothing is happening during the short term. Long term, we have some rainfall coming through. Maybe as we get into midweek, but Monday, Tuesday of next week, not really looking too prominent in terms of rainfall activity. We go into Wednesday, going into Thursday. What do we see? Rainfall activity. Again, not the most, but we are seeing a good amount. Thursday, going into Friday, we have some more rainfall moving through. Even going to around 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock p.m., going into Sunday at around 2 a.m., we have some more rainfall kind of trying to move through as we go into next weekend. So the rainfall is here. The rainfall is trying to come through. But the main question here is it going to be beneficial? Is it going to be beneficial enough for us here to really get rid of that drought? And so we're going to look at the totals and, you know, we're going to see what happens. But rainfall seems to be pretty active for us. Now, as we go into Tuesday, going into Wednesday, Thursday, even going into Friday, Saturday, Sunday of not next weekend, but the weekend after that, we're seeing the potential for, again, just more active conditions. So I do think that an active pattern is on the way, even as we go into June the 1st. I know that that's a long ways away, but I think we really are trying to transition from that dry period to this wetter period. So if you need to get any sort of yard work done outside, I would do it either this weekend or early next week, because you have been warned. That as we get into Wednesday, as we get into Thursday of next week, things are going to be taking a little bit of a shift. And especially once we get into the week after, next week, precipitation is definitely going to be pretty prominent for us. So you have been warned. Have any yard work you need to get done before it starts raining? Definitely would get it done early next week, like Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but Wednesday's kind of pushing it, especially if you're up there in the upstate. Now, how much rainfall are we expecting over the next 300 to 400 hours? Obviously, we won't see an exact total, but right now we're seeing around a good 3 inches or so, maybe even more. We're seeing around 2 inches near the coastal areas. According to this, we're seeing maybe 3 inches, maybe even close to 4 inches in some spots, but it's definitely not the most for us to really get rid of this drought. The European kind of has us on a higher scale, and the European has always kind of had us on that higher scale. Remember, this the GFS, this is the European. European kind of has us around 3, maybe even close to 4 inches and a half, maybe even close to 5 inches in some spots. So, I mean, I do think that we definitely could see some of that rainfall activity be higher than what is shown here, or maybe it could be lower than what is shown. All of this is right here is just a estimation of what we're seeing. It's an ensemble. So now that rainfall is out of the way, temperatures. That is not what I wanted. Let me bring you back to the crazy score real quick. Pull this up over here. Let's go ahead and talk about temperatures. Temperatures, same thing pretty much. We're going to be talking about it long-term wise. We're going to be talking about it in terms of our long-term future. We're going to be talking about it medium-term. Just everything associated with that. We're going to go in and talk about it. So we're going to look at the GFS first, and we're going to look at the anomalies first. And one thing I will say with the anomalies is that the anomalies are kind of showing some warmer temperatures as we get into this weekend. Obviously, that's known. We're talking about 10 to 15 degrees above average. And that continues through Monday, going into Tuesday, going into Wednesday. But watch as we get into Thursday. Watch as we get into Friday. We start to see some cooler air try to move through. Warmer air does kind of stick around a little bit, but cooler air does try to infiltrate its way throughout the state as we get into the end of next week, especially throughout the upstate. And then by the time you get over into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday of not next week, but the week after, you're still kind of seeing it going here and there from switching from cooler to warmer. And it's just that battle across the state. That's what it looks like, at least. Battle across the state. So where it may be cooler during the daytime, cooler during the nighttime, or maybe even warmer during the daytime, warmer during the nighttime. And it's that saying that they always say for South Carolina, saying that, well, South Carolina's weather obviously is changing. It's hot one day, cold the other day. Now, will that happen? Obviously, this is anomalies. This is not actual temperatures. So just because it is showing around 5 degrees above average or maybe 5 degrees below average, it's not going to be like, oh, well, we're going to see 50s in terms of highs, then we're going to jump up to 90s. No, we're not talking about that. But warmer temperatures does try to stay with us as long as it can as we go throughout the end of May. But honestly, I do think as we get more and more to the end of May, cooler temperatures will be trying to make its presence known. But warmer air stays with us for a good little bit. And even if we go in and take a look at our actual temperatures for the long-term futures on an actual temperature scale, we're seeing 80s, we're seeing 90s. 90 tomorrow, we know that. 90s on Monday, Tuesday, more 90s. Wednesday of next week, more 90s. Thursday, more 90s. But then Friday comes along, and Friday we may still see some 90s. We may still see some 90s as we get into Friday. Maybe even some more as we get into next weekend. It honestly looks like that these warmer temperatures are going to try and stay up into the 90s for as long as they can. But then watch as we get into the end of May, the last couple of days, I said there would be a little bit of a cool down, and it seems like that's what's happening as May's temperature takes a drastic turn. Now, as we go on and take a look at the ensembles, because obviously the ensembles, once you get around 200 hours out or so, you really want to start using the ensembles because they show a more mean average. But if we go in and take a look, see what's going on with the pattern, we're still seeing 80s, we're still seeing 90s or so as we get more and more into the end of May. But one thing I will say is that the ensembles are really backing down too much of their mid 80s or so, even as you get into the end of May. So, we'll see what happens with this. Obviously, it is an ensemble, so it's a bunch of different models with different situations. But it still stays relatively warm. So I do think that if we do cool down as we get towards the end of May, at least from this model standards right here, this model, the 18Z the mean, it's not really looking too far down in terms of temperature. So I do think temperatures won't be that cool. Now again, 300 to 400 hours out, that statement could be wrong tomorrow because obviously weather is constantly changing. Weather is constantly doing things, so we're just going to have to continue to wait and see what happens. But that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the long-term future. So let's go on now and take a look at the earthquake map, because I did talk about it this morning. If you were here this morning, you already know this, but we did have an earthquake today. And so, because we had an earthquake today, that's going to be the top fan question. If you can guess where the earthquake was today by region, upstate, Midlands, Low Country, PD, Grand Strand area, whoever guesses it first will get top fan of the night. It should be a pretty easy one. You just have to be quick. I mean, somebody could get it on the first try. So, you have to be typing now. Again, Midlands, Grand Strand, Low Country, PD, or upstate. Whoever gets it first gets it. So you have to be quick. But let's go on now and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina, and we'll come back to that. We're talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. Also, my Aunt Lula got it correct. It was the upstate. I'm not quite sure if you were here this morning or not. But if you were, I mean, since you were here this morning, we might as well, just go on and give it to them, because you watched both forecasts today. So I'll give you top fan of the night if you did watch this morning. If you didn't, well, you don't have to put that inside the chat. But just, if you did, that's another reason right there to give you top fan of the night. We are going to go on and talk with the audience. We're actually going to talk about it after we're done with the 4 areas. So if you're here for the audience, still stay. I just want to talk about these 4 areas first. Just kind of change it up a little bit. But we're doing San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight at around 76. High temperature for tomorrow at 92. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 78. No precipitation is expected for tonight or tomorrow, except for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, you do have a slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. And it's going to be breezy. I mean, it's going to be breezy tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night, with gusts as high as 30 miles per hour throughout. So just make sure that you're aware. Make sure that you are paying attention for that. You have anything outside that you need to make sure is either tied down, or just anything that you need to make sure about. Umbrellas that are up. And so, just in terms of severe weather and just in terms of excessive rainfall, for you right now, I'm not seeing anything in terms of severe weather right now, but I will say this: excessive rainfall, is it going on near your area? It does seem like that it is, not only for Tuesday, but for Wednesday going into Thursday as well. Isolated flash flooding possible both of those days. Now, if we go on and talk about your future, it does look like that you will have temperatures kind of dropping as you get more and more into next week. 88 on Wednesday. Thursday, you're going to be around 84. Friday, you're going to be down to around 82. So temperatures will be dropping, but it definitely, won't be like 70s or anything like that in terms of your highs. Rainfall will also be pretty active. Monday going all the way through into Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week. Still, rainfall is going to be more active for you. So it's going to be more active. Then for Raleigh, you have low temperatures tonight at 63, high temperature for tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 67. No precipitation is expected for you tonight or tomorrow, but rainfall is on the way next week, especially as you go into Wednesday night and Thursday. You have a 70% chance of rainfall, so you already have that shot there of some rainfall and some thunderstorm activity. Now, in terms of severe weather, in terms of excessive rainfall for you, not really expected at this time. And then for the most part, I mean, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of just be up into the 90s, even as you go into, like, Wednesday or so of next week. But watch, temperatures will be dropping into the 70s as you go into, like, next weekend. Then for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 63, high temperature for tomorrow at 89, then low temperatures tomorrow night at 64. Slight chance of showers tonight, but tomorrow, no precipitation is expected. In terms of your future, it will be pretty active for you once you get to around Wednesday or so. Chance of rainfall from Wednesday all the way through the weekend. And then In terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, that's not expected. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of go up. I mean, we're talking about Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, going to be up into the upper 90s on Wednesday. Yes, the upper 90s on Wednesday. And we're talking about mid 90s on Tuesday. So you're going to be pretty hot. You're going to be pretty hot as you get into Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even as early as tomorrow, 89. Then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperature for tomorrow at 88, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 70 as well. Slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow, but tomorrow night, that chance of storms does increase to around a 30-40% chance. Severe weather for you is a possibility tomorrow. Isolated severe storms are possible with some isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 40 to 60 miles per hour. And then on Monday's your big day. You have a slight risk of severe weather. Scattered severe storms are possible for you. But once that is over and done with, you do have a little flash flood threat as well as you go into Tuesday. Scattered flash flooding is possible, 15% risk. And then a 5% risk of isolated flash flooding possible on Wednesday. For your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of just be up into the 80s, but then once you get to Wednesday, going to drop down to the 70s or so, and then you'll be back up into the 80s by next weekend. And it's going to be an active week. I mean, you have a chance of rain pretty much from tomorrow going all the way through until like next weekend. So you honestly could see rainfall almost every single day. And not only that, but it's going to be breezy. I mean, we're talking about wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour almost daily. Almost daily, with that rain chance almost daily. So, not going to be the nicest of weather. Not going to be the nicest, but it's definitely going to be active. Definitely going to be active. So let's go in now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with, let's see, scroll my way up. My Aunt Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a great day. Today in Georgetown, it was beautiful. Today's high was around 79. Currently, it's around 72. Of course, no rain in sight. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Currently, at my house right now, it seems like that it is 73. And then the high temperature at my house today was around 84. In terms of my winds, I do want to see what the winds were looking like. My newer one says it was around 11 miles per hour or so. And then my other one no longer stationed at my house anymore. Seemed like we got a gust of around maybe 11 or 12, so not too bad. My Nana says, hello, Jay and all. Hello to you. My Aunt Lewis says, my garden is screaming for some rain, and I'm watering it twice a day. Twice a day. My Nana says, a nice warm day. I need my sprinkler system to be repaired. My grass and roses are looking real bad. Well, hopefully we can... We'll see what we can do about that. Terrell says, happy Saturday to you. Maya Lewis said the upstate. And I would use a sprinkler, however, when watering tomato plants, I've got to water the root of the tomato plant, not the leaves. Too much water would damage tomato growth. Well, thank you so much for that knowledge, because I had no idea about that. I'm not really too much of a plant, vegetable, type person. But, thank you so much for that information. But that's all that I can see here throughout the entire chat. So we're going to see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise, as severe storms, including large hail, wind, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes are possible in the Central Plains. Dry, windy conditions and lightning from dry thunderstorms may produce hazardous fire conditions in the Southwest and in the Southern High Plains. Late-season snow is also expected in the Northwest and in the Great Basin. Heat is also spreading across the eastern U.S. So a lot of things going on. We just talked about severe weather over there for Duncan. We talked about severe weather, actually just for Duncan. That was like the only area. But, there's a lot of other areas as well that we've been calling out tonight. We have that severe thunderstorm threat potentially from, like, parts of Illinois, through Indiana, through Kentucky, West Virginia, Iowa, going on in Missouri, the biggest threat being in Nebraska and Kansas, and then tomorrow on Sunday, Sioux Falls, you even have Sioux City in South Dakota and Iowa. You have a good amount of Nebraska, like McCook, Nebraska. You see Omaha included, Lincoln, and then Oklahoma City's in there. Also, Milwaukee's in there, Denver, Tulsa, Kansas City. All these areas are in there as well. And then we're still not done because on Monday, another enhanced risk of severe weather. Kansas City's included in there for the one of the main risks. Des Moines in there. Omaha's in there. Chicago has a risk of severe weather on Monday. Milwaukee, same thing with Oklahoma City. Dallas is in there. Fort Worth is in there. St. Louis is in there. And then we're still not done because on day 4, again, Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, going on over inside of northwestern Arkansas, and a good amount of northwestern Ohio is in there for a risk of severe weather on Tuesday. So a lot of things right now are going on throughout the entire nation right now, not only with the severe weather, but also with the high fire danger from California down over into Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, and then also high winds. I mean, down there in Las Vegas, they're seeing wind gusts of up to around 60 miles per hour plus. So, I mean, there's just like a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on right now. But that's all. I don't see anything else here. If you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Also, hit the subscribe button. We have around a good 6 people that have tuned in tonight and only 4 likes. So go and hit the like button if you have not already. Also, hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't talk to that much because it's free. It is free. It is free. It is free. And you never know. You may rekindle a friendship that you once had. That part I was mostly making up. But, I mean, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. It's not impossible. I will be back tomorrow morning, though, for your Sunday morning forecast update. Also, make sure that you're here tomorrow evening. The week forecast update for, if I'm not mistaken, is it the last full week of May next week? I think. I don't know why my calendar is not even pulling up now. This computer's just been acting kind of crazy, but let me check. I believe next week. No. I take that back. We have one more week after that. Because it is the 16th, yeah. So this is the second to last full week. So we'll be here month of May 17th going into the 23rd. Make sure that you're there for that. And I'll be back tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening. Make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you are new.